Good afternoon, Johnny here. Welcome. I wanted to talk a little bit about geopolitics today and what's going on around the world as far as, what the United States is doing, starting new wars like in Venezuela and in Nigeria. And in my view, it's all geopolitics, is all ideological. In other words, they're trying to push this neoliberal ideology around the world. They have already in the collective West. And you see how that happened, right? It's not working. Neoliberalism, if you don't know what that is, go to my webpage, fightfordecency.com. The first prerequisite for a prosperous middle class is to understand what we're fighting against. And there's a word for it. It's called neoliberalism. Now, in my estimation, in my studies, in my research, what I've found is that what's going on around the world is a change of geopolitics. The United States is no longer the hegemon. It doesn't enjoy being the top dog. Now you have whatever you call that, where a lot of countries are the same, or vying for being level, right? And what I thought was really interesting is how a journalist was being interviewed by Cyrus Jensen, who lives in China and talks about the Chinese model of economy. And she was saying that, and it's true, Clinton, and she said this, I wasn't aware of this, but she said that Clinton himself, out of his own mouth, said that in 2000, the WTO, World Trade Organization, allowed China to join in the WTO, in other words, open their markets, so they could trade back and forth. And he said that the whole idea was that they would open them up to neoliberalism, and that they were going to infiltrate the society and have them overturn the Communist Party so that they could be neoliberal. They could be democratic like the United States and the collective West, right? And it didn't work, of course, because Chinese culture and politics doesn't work that way. The capitalists are there, they're making money, but they are held in check. In other words, the state is responsible for ensuring that you can make money, but you're not going to rule my country like here in the United States. That's what has happened to us here. The oligarchs have captured our state and passed laws to ensure that we're able to monopolize and make life miserable for working class people. Now, when we argue against that, we're called socialists, but I personally call it an act of decency to fight back. So join the effort, go to my webpage, subscribe, and volunteer to be a soldier in the army to fight for decency. Thanks. There you have it. And like, share, and subscribe.